Hello guys and welcome back to another episode on the channel. Today you're joining me for episode number 10 in our Transport Fever 2 East Yorkshire series. In today's episode I want to have a little look through all of our lines and look at how we can improve them. I've let the game play on for just a little while to build up some momentum in the lines. As you can see, we're currently riding the current passenger aircraft line that we set up between, I believe it was down in Selby, just outside of Selby down here, yeah, and that's running all the way up to Withensea at the top. What I do want to do today is try and fly up some fuel for Withensea and start getting the air freight running. As you can see now, our plane's on the way up and it is still the only vehicle we have on that line. But if we take a look up at Withensea, there is 32 people waiting. So what I do want to do is have a look through at what's now available. We have the Douglas DC-3 here on the passenger section, and this has got a capacity of 10 at 299,000 a year. But then we also have the Junkers Ju-52 that can carry absolutely anything in amounts of 10, and it's only just under 200,000 a year, so it's a no-brainer to go with that. I mean, the Douglas DC-3 does go 50 miles an hour quicker, and no doubt at some point we'll stick one of those on to have a look, but for now what I do want to do is just get this one upgraded. So what I'm going to do is do through the line management here. And in this first vehicle, we're going to replace that with one of these Ju-52s. And then we're going to clone that. So we now have two on this line. And I'm hoping it'll come out of this. Here it will. There we go. So it's already at this end. Now hopefully that'll just pick up a full load of passengers here. As you can see on this one, the door opens again. And here we go. That does look pretty good as well. I'll have a look at this and watch it take off, and then we'll look into how we're going to go around bringing fuel all the way up to Withensea. One of the reasons I put the other airfield down at the bottom end of the map is because that's where we currently have fuel being shipped down to. I love how you can see all the smoke coming out of the engines. That's pretty cool. All the ailerons. Do they move as well, the ailerons? I can't see any movement in them just yet. Oh yeah, the ailerons are coming out at the ends there. And you can see the little people inside. That is pretty cool. Right, okay, so if we have a look at Withensea, it's only got a demand for 21 fuel at the minute, but now this passenger set's up and running, you can see it's going to grow at 30% speed. Because by connecting the airfield down into the main city of Selby, it's going to allow the connections to the main line through the tram route from Selby to the main line. So it connects them to pretty much everyone. And what I wanted to do is to add a cargo hangar down at this airport, Selby, and then just have a simple little truck route from here, bringing fuel that will be delivered from the ships to the airfield. I don't want it to interrupt the line that's already in place here, so I'm hoping to sort of get it in just before here if I can. So they'll turn in through the junction, which that does work perfectly. So what will happen, you see, is the trucks and they'll turn in from here and turn straight in, and they won't slow down the traffic going through to the bus route. On here we've already got a separate depot ready, so that's just a case of adding a new line between there and there, which has picked up the other platform in Selby West, which is great. So this is RF for off-road freight, and it is Selby Airport delivery. Now for now, I just want to get one vehicle from wherever our depot is. It looks like it's all the way over there. Cargo, and it's going to be transporting fuel and oil, so that'll do. That's going to go Selby Airport delivery. And while we've only got the one truck, for now I'll tell that at Selby West I want that to wait for a full load. Just to make sure that this one is in catchment of the airfield. Yes, it is. So now we'll configure this airfield, and we want a cargo terminal like this. We'll pop that in there. And then we need to do the same at the other end actually. We'll set up all the routes first. We'll put the cargo hangar in before I forget to do that at the end. Oh, that's the wrong button. We need to go Selby Withensea Airport, so we configure that. We want the cargo terminal again. We'll plonk that on the end. Then we're going to need another drop-off point. Similarly, I'd like it to turn into here before, so it doesn't affect the passenger route there. And then here we're going to need a truck stop in town. So it looks like all the fuel that needs to be delivered is this side of town. Again, we don't want to affect the buses, so we'll drop it just that side of the junction where the buses don't turn into. We need a vehicle on that line. Again, we'll just go for one. We'll put him on a new line that starts from the airport here, where it will, again, wait for a full load indefinitely, and it will drop off at the truck depot there. And that's going to be road freight, and that's Within Sea fuel delivery. So all that's left for that now is to buy the aeroplanes and put that on the route. So we want cargo. We can bring a capacity of 8 for 124 or 10 for 195. How much did that truck carry? 14. So either way we can't fill the truck. Either way it's going to be 2 journeys. So I think we just go with a cheaper option here, to be fair. But it's only 93. Now we'll go for a Junkers, but we'll just have the one on the line. So we want to start it off down at this end, where this will wait for a full load as well. We're going to go full load, and I'm just going to make sure that it does only load fuel there. Just so it doesn't try and get confused and bring passengers up for some reason. And I want it to make sure it's to the right hangar, both sides. And just double check that I did the right one here. Yes, it's at the right one there as well. Perfect. So that's now going to be air freight, and that's going to be Selby to Within Sea fuel. Okay, so we can go back up to this one. He's got auto save here. It looks like this is the boy. Yes, here we go. He's going to take off and he's heading for Selby Airport anyway. So when he comes down there, it should kick up the demand. Now, what we know is this fuel refinery is taking the fuel all the way down. So if we look at consumers, Within Sea should eventually pop up here once it realises that some of the fuel coming onto these ships. We look. Or I beg your pardon, actually, this fuel's actually coming down from here, but it originally does come through this factory. So we should see the Within Sea demand come up on there soon, and that's when it'll kick it all into place. It might only be once this aircraft's done a full loop. Sometimes the game works like that until the route's been from end to end a full circuit once. It doesn't start sending the goods. So we'll keep that as pinned there, just so I can keep an eye on it. Then in the meantime, guys, while we're letting that bed in a little bit, I'll keep it on 3 times speed to keep it going. I notice here we've got a lot of iron ore building up, and there's coal building up there, and the coal train has only just left. Down at the steel mill here, it looks like the iron train's only just on the way back, and it's already running out. You can see we've got plenty of coal, but not iron, so we need to upgrade that iron train. So if we have a look at this train, it is still one of the really old, oh it's down here, one of the really old slow trains, so we will have a look at upgrading that. For now we'll put this BR 75.4 on because that's what's on the coal line. It'll make more sense to match those now. We're lagging behind with the iron, so we're currently carrying 52. So if we go for, let's double that to 100 and see how we get on. So obviously this first time it's still only taking the 52 that it already had. You can see up here now that Within Sea, the fuel refinery, has now figured out that Within Sea is requesting fuel. So what will happen now is this will start making some fuel. It'll send it on these, the whole fuel loop here, which supplies Hull and supplies this dock here for Selby, which then means the ships that are coming all the way down to Selby will allocate some of that fuel to the airfield, and from the airfield then it'll get brought back up. So hopefully this guy, now as you can see, this is the fuel plane landing in Selby for the first time. Hopefully this will just sit here and wait indefinitely now until it gets fuel. And there will be some fuel on the way, which we'll get into this guy. And what's happening here? Why are we behind? So we're waiting on tools here. So another line that needs upgrading. to this one, we will just increase that capacity. And hopefully that'll keep that going. Is there anywhere else where we've got a lot of things waiting? It's like the big man here indicates that there's a lot of people waiting here. This train's already full on the way now, so it might be a case if we just need more trains on that main line. So if we have a look, what's making us big money? It is that main line. And it is running as full as you could almost expect it. I think now that we fast forwarded time before the episode, we might be able to actually get a huge upgrade here. We did unlock the Class A4, and we've also got the Flying Scotsman from the last episode, but it means that we unlock this. And because 75 miles per hour is the top speed, there's no point in us going for the Class A4 yet. Now, I know this train as the Mallard. I know some of you will also know what the Mallard is, but that was, I believe, just the one individual train. I think it doesn't make sense yet for us to go Mallard, so we'll go with the Class A3s. We'll have the Flying Scotsman, and we've currently got a capacity of 84. But as long as we stick somewhere near to that, I don't want to go, we'll go one past, we'll put them at 100. 102 million. It's got to be done though, hasn't it? It's a Flying Scotsman. There we go, the absolutely iconic train that is the Class A3 Flying Scotsman. A shame that it doesn't say Flying Scotsman on it anywhere, and I'm not sure if on our routes this will get fully up to speed anywhere. I mean, this little jaunt here just in between the two cities, will it make 75? It could do. The track's able to do 75, so if it can do, it will do. Oh, it's going to be close. 72 was that? Maybe 73? It definitely will along the stretch here coming out of the town. This guy here should definitely be able to build up to 75 mile an hour on this long stretch of the countryside. It's such an iconic train, this. You can see something that I didn't realise until I rewatched last week's episode, was that these catenaries got put on just before I started to build this last part of the loop. We just crossed the age barrier to high-speed track, and with high-speed track does come catenaries, so you'll see where we went from York, and when we'd done the steel and the goods line before, these are all catenaries. Now, I did think about going back and getting rid of them while we're still on steam, but it isn't going to be long before we're using electric, so it did seem a bit of a waste to me, so I left it for now. Now, we'll let those bed in and just see whether we need to adjust the amount of trains on that line now that we've upped the capacity. This guy also seems a little bit slow now. Compared to 75 mile an hour Flying Scotsman, we've still got trains that can only do 25 miles per hour. And we can almost treble what this is, the throughput of this line, so we are going to replace this guy as well. So for cargo wise, what we're using are the box cars to bring tools in, so we've currently got 36. Oh god, that's a mistake, we don't want that one going 31 miles an hour, do we? We want the new version of that, which is these box cars. There we go. So instead of 36, if we go for 75, or 72 capacity, sorry. And I think we'll just go with it, with the BR75 for this. It'll increase its capacity, it'll increase its speed, it'll get more delivered down into York, which then we will have to keep an eye on because goods are building up in York here, but I did add an extra cart earlier just because it was getting a little bit overwhelmed. I think it was 2 extra carts I added there. The York bus, Selby to York buses here, I think they are just sort of managing themselves. Now I don't know why these keep coming in and turning round constantly. That's because they're 2 separate lines. Okay, that makes sense. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but to make them come around here will just add a lot more time to the journey, and they're not too horrendous at the minute. Okay, so what else can we have a look at in this episode? We've got all down here now, we've got all these tools appearing, as you can see. Another delivery logs is going to give us even more. Got 50 here. Is that train on its way back yet? It is on its way back for 152, so that should be fine. Now we're dropping a lot more tools off. It's starting to clear this backlog of ships. That's interesting. He's come down here with 96 fuel. Does that mean we need to up what's going on up here? He's only leaving with 63. I'm just going to take one of those off. And that'll do. I don't know whether that's because we're struggling to get oil in now. That's at 29. This one's on its way over with 130. If this runs out before this one gets here, then we need another one on this line as well. But it looks like it's because these are waiting to be filled up as well. I think we are literally just outstripping demand here, guys, because this 91 here, if we're not saturating this, train's coming down here, he's got 216. We've got more building here that we settled last time, this little loop, 142 here. This is what's happened. This is where the problem lies. Okay, so we need to manage this vehicle. This guy can currently carry 7, so we'll change him to the Opel Blitz truck. And then we'll add another load of vehicles here, and hopefully that'll keep the trains running, because I think that's the issue. These have been slowed down drastically. And there you go, we've got the first decent, I'd say, electric train in my opinion. You get the Crocodile first, but it's so much money for not a lot more bang for your buck compared to the steam trains that you have of the same ilk at the time. Let's take another 2 on then, it should keep that constantly running. Again, I'll check in on all of these again a little bit later. We've got all Selby coming up for his 100. There's not 100 there yet. Hopefully this guy will satisfy that load. That is something that we really do need to keep a check on, because our crude oil industry is what keeps us going. Down here now, we could probably afford, if we can deal with some more crude down at this end area, which there's not another one coming yet. There's one there. We could squeeze another ship onto that line. We'll clone that. Which does make me wonder when we're due the next fuel ship, because I'm not 100% sure when the next one comes. We're currently already running Vandals. Another autosave coming in there. We've got the Vandal with 130, and that came in the 1900, so it is nearly 40 years old now. How are we looking on these? Are we still max capacity on the Flying Scotsmans? Got 100 on there, 94. We are looking pretty good. See, with increasing the speed, it will increase the amount of people that want to come and travel with us as well, so we do need to keep an eye on that. Flying Scotsman here now is making us 8 million. And it's running at pretty much capacity, so I think I am going to just add an extra train on there as well. We'll go with that. There we go, we got ourselves an achievement as well. Train line with 10 trains. Okay, so next up, let's have another review of this steel mill and see what's happening here. So it is still not keeping up with, well, the iron's still not keeping up with the steel at the moment. We've got this train waiting for goods. We've got a lot of steel here, so this really needs to be ramped up. If we've got anything better than these vehicles, they're currently carrying 7, and there's 12 here. So we'll change those, and I'll also just put another 2 vehicles on there, which is obviously going to impact what happens down at this end. But as long as we've got the stuff coming in, so they are waiting for steel here. Plastic's looking all good at the minute. Just to keep up with the pace, though, with these guys, I'm not going to add any extra vehicles, but I will upgrade them to be able just to move a little bit quicker and keep the pace up. Fuel line down here, we're down to 6, so one more delivery. That again is fine. Once this guy picks up, we're good to go. That's a good sight with Flying Scotsman cutting through the countryside. So it looks, guys, like at that point we may need to stick a little bit more on this iron, because again, there you go, yeah, it is still out there, so I may look at actually double tracking this. Let's get that done, just so we know we've done everything we can to keep this production up. Because bringing that in, I mean, not that at the minute we're obviously producing enough steel, we've had to just buy more trucks to deal with it, but if we can ramp it up even further, then all it's going to be is more and more money in our pocket. So what we want to do now is just signal this line, because it's going to have 2 trains on it. Obviously the coal line at the moment doesn't need any signals because there's only the 1 train running backward and forward. And I don't want to just mess up those 2 lines and put them in the same all my eggs in one basket, if you like, and have them interacting with each other at the moment. This guy now, I'll just clone this, and hopefully this is picked up that it goes down one way and up the other. It does, perfect. This guy's now coming out and into here. He's waiting there, which is perfect. As long as now this iron mine can keep up, which it should do, because the throughput of one of these is 400, and we've got 2 trains with 100 each. So it should be okay. There is a way of working out from the rate. Here you go. The rate's 441, and this is 400, so we're slightly over capacity, which means they'll wait for a little while. They're told to wait, but we'll constantly be running full trains without too much of a delay, and if we really need to, we can take a couple of wagons off each of those. That looked full then, I think it was because the train has just dropped itself off. All its passengers have come out. And now if we have a look down here at this wood line, so what we could do is start producing more wood and therefore more planks, but it's whether we need that here. This train's going to be full, and once it picks up here, it's going to still be waiting, so we don't need to be delivering more planks at the moment. We're actually doing quite well there, unless we wanted to start bringing some planks down to the Snaith Machines factory too and put another station on the planks line here. The only problem with that would be we'd then have to find a way of getting steel over here, so maybe that's one for the next episode and we can make machines. But then if we have a look at where actually needs the machines, I think York needs machines in there. That's one way we can look. North Ferriby could deal with some machines. Tools up at Driffield, so it might be worthwhile. We're already making tools to get some tools over to Driffield. If you remember, another thing I wanted to look at, guys, that'll be in the next episode now, is I wanted to have a look at getting fuel to Driffield by possibly bringing some back on the return leg. So, but what I think is if we can use these ships here to drop some fuel here, we could just sort of truck it into town. Or even if these guys here that are going one way with crude, they take this crude all the way down to a refinery, or even if I use this refinery, set another line up coming from that same crude place, turn it into oil here, they come back half full and drop it here, and we've got fuel into Driffield for 73 fuel. That is actually a really good idea. And you know what? We've got time, so I'll do that now. What I will have to do, excuse me, that's my text message just coming through. I'll set up another large cargo dock here, and we have to remember to put the landing in. And then we're going to need a cargo harbour here with a large dock, with just the one dock here. We're going to need that somewhere where I think I can. Does that? Oh, that connects perfectly. Oh, it's outside waters. Okay, not a problem. We'll put that there. Just connect this up with a little road. We go to a country road. We should be able to connect this without too many issues. There we go. Just check that that's in reach. It is there. Perfect. We need another dock the same here with large and one terminal, and we want that going from this port. That should definitely connect straight up. And if we shift and churn that, we can get that pretty square. Perfect there. Again, just double check. That's great. And then we will need in the end just the route into town. So if I go for this road, I want to upgrade that town, because as you see, that allows the 50-mile-an-hour speed limit. We're going to need a truck stop in the town. Where do we want fuel dropping off? Here. And if I have a look at the lines, there's no buses running down this road here. So if we can stick this truck route down here with full coverage of everywhere that needs fuel, that looks pretty good to me. We've already got a road depot in the town, yeah. But we will need this guy. And if I put this as far away from the fuel depot as possible, it will give them the shortest run. So if I drag this up the road, you can see where it goes white. You do very occasionally get issues where even though it's white, if it's on the border, it doesn't work. So I tend to move it just a little bit further up. So there's fine for me. And because we're going to be dropping off large amounts with ships here, it's going to build up pretty quickly. I would like to just extend whichever one of these I'm going to use, but I'll do both sides to make it look nice. We'll stick a couple of the bigger buildings on as we've done before to increase capacity, just in case we get 2 ships at the same time. And then we'll go from there. We will have... Oh, that's a tram depot. We need a vehicle, so we are going to have to put a road depot in here. But we'll put it on the same junction as the tram, why not? And then it's going to be fueled. So I'm going to actually put... We'll have... I think 3 of these should be enough, because they carry 14. These will be constantly running while we're waiting for the next ship. We're not going to have too many ships on this line. We want that to load a full line, go from there into the truck stop we've just placed in town. And that is going to be road freight, and this is Driffield. Your delivery. Okay, and now the only other thing now is to get the ships and put those on the line. So we'll start up here. For now, I think I'm just going to have 2 ships. It's nice and simple. We want it to come down to here. Hopefully it'll pick the right side there. You can only pick one side over at the refinery there, and then come into there on the way back. So hopefully it's picked this port. It has. So this is going to be sea freight, and this is Driffield fuel. So that'll come down now. These guys will hopefully pick up that they've got someone else to go to. They have, which I believe is at Gould Refinery. That's the one we're already using. North Ferriby's there. So it's picked up that we can use that. This guy's got consumers that are going to use it. This should come online soon to say that it can drop it off here. But we may need a boat to twig on to get to that point. That's connected in. Perfect. Yeah, so these guys here are already going to be giving it to this docks, which they are. We've got crude waiting to go to this way. It is just this area we're waiting for, and let's just see if this fuel... See, I don't think this will work. This one won't kick in until it gets its first delivery of oil, I think, and I'm hoping that this one's the same. But while we've got an auto save here, we'll keep the time on fast and hopefully get that delivered and see what comes of it. Okay guys, so here's the first ship on the route with 130 crude oil coming in. Now I'm hoping, once this drops off, it kicks North Ferriby Refinery here into knowing that Driffield Fuel Refinery wants some of this oil to turn that into fuel. I'm hoping that's what happens. He's going to kick it in, and there we go. As you can see, it started. He's not going to bring any back yet. The second ship's only just behind him, unfortunately. While these 2 are at this end, actually, I might stick another 2 on here and make sure that they're heading downriver. One's going to Driffield Port. That's that one. And that one's going to Driffield Port as well. Perfect. As you can see, this second one here now has dropped off, and he has picked up a little bit. I might just send him back again there. Just to get a little bit more. Once he gets down to the other end now, that'll give the trucks... It'll give the trucks some fuel to be made through the fuel refinery, and Driffield will start getting fuel. So just before we end this episode, guys, what I do want to do is just have a quick recap and make sure everything's working as intended. Everything we've messed with, that is. You can see here, fuel... Ah, perfect. So the fuel planes were all up and running. Fuel's about to get dropped off. Is this the first time we've had fuel? It isn't. We have delivered before, but it is slow going. So depending on how much fuel's waiting at the other end, we might have to upgrade the aircraft there. Speaking of upgrading the freight aircraft, the Bristol freighter. So passengers wise, we've got 51 people waiting here, as these planes are only carrying 10. So let's see what we have in terms of passengers now. So we're currently carrying 10. We could upgrade these, which I'm just going to bite the bullet and do it, because once you've got passengers on these airlines, they do just make money hand over fist. So we'll upgrade them for now. So that's just upgraded the capacity by 20%. I believe we were doing 20, we're doing 30. Oh no, 50% capacity even. So we'll see if that settles the numbers down a little bit waiting at that end. We do have fuel waiting here, which is 34, so we do need to increase our aircraft on this line, or the capacity. So it's currently carrying 10, we can carry 14 with the Bristol freighter. We'll do that, we'll change that, and we'll also clone it. And just to make sure, actually, I've just done that, but speed difference there, 217 up from 124, so we've just drastically increased that speed there. We've got 25 people waiting here, so we've got enough people to satisfy doing that. So that bus is still coming in with next to nobody on it. It does concern me that not a lot of people want to sort of head north, but as the fuel gets delivered there and starts building the city up north, that demand for transport up to the northern side will increase, and especially if we do what was my original plan and what we may cover in the next episode, is just have a little train line between Hornsea, Allaby Head and Winstead and Withensea. Just have a little loop here. What I would like to do is just do that with some of the smaller multiple unit trains, so like a little local service that just stops at those 5. But for now, guys, that is going to be it. Well, that's going to be all for the episode. I don't think we've got time to squeeze any more in, but I would like to just say thank you everyone for joining me today. It's been an episode where we seem to have got a lot done and increased our capacities and throughputs on a lot of the lines. We've now got the flying Scotsman roaming around, which is absolutely fantastic. And I will hopefully in the next one be looking at a lot more expansion. We'll be getting more and more into the electric age of those multiple units we're talking about up north. So make sure if you've enjoyed the episode and you're enjoying the series, hit the like and subscribe buttons to know when the next one's coming. If you've got any ideas on what you'd like to see next or where we could move to with this series next, please let me know in the comments. And as always, keep adding those names of good mods that you find useful to the comments for me, ready for the next series. So thanks a lot for joining me again, guys, and I will see you in the next one.